A wife reached out to me through my website. She booked a consultation, and in the comment section, she mentioned something that really struck a chord. Her husband had a stroke a few years ago, and he's been very resistant to treatment ever since. She hasn't yet met with me, and I haven't met with him, but we're scheduled to talk next week. What's clear from her message is that her husband is likely carrying the weight of past experiences where he was told that he's as good as he's going to get. Maybe it was a physician or a previous clinician who said he'd reached a plateau. Her message indicated that he had been in therapy for quite a while. So, my assumption is he did all the work, went through all the therapy, but didn't see the kind of progress that would make a real difference in his daily communication. And now he's skeptical, he's resistant, and who could blame him?
Welcome to the Listen for Life podcast with Genevieve Richardson. Genevieve is a speech-language pathologist rehabilitating adults with communication challenges after a stroke or due to a neurological impairment. Get equipped with knowledge from experts in the field and professionals you need to know. We'll hear stories and experiences from others who are navigating life with aphasia. So, put your earphones in and take a walk outside. This isn't just a podcast. This is a community, a resource, and a support system. We're in this together. Do life.
Welcome to the Listen for Life Aphasia podcast. My name is Genevieve, and we are diving into a topic that I know many survivors with aphasia struggle with. They are resistant to therapy. So the story I led this episode about got me thinking about what are the different reasons someone with aphasia might resist therapy. So let's go through some of those. First, we want to understand the root of resistance. It usually stems from a past experience where progress in therapy didn't meet expectations, right? If you were going to the gym and you were paying for a physical trainer to train you, and you felt like after 3 months of working with this trainer 2, 3 times a week, you'd have some more muscle, you'd have some more skill, you'd have weight loss, whatever it is you're there to do. But if all of that effort and therapy didn't translate into your clothes fitting better, feeling stronger where you can move things around, having better flexibility, if your progress doesn't meet those expectations, that's going to leave a bitter taste in your mouth about hiring another trainer or doing it all again. So that's one reason. What could be another reason? There is the topic about plateau. Many speech pathologists are under the impression that you can't do more progress after 6 months. Maybe your neurologist or your primary care physician is under the mistaken understanding that after that first 6 months of spontaneous recovery period, that the brain is not able to make new pathways. Well, it's just not the case. But if the aphasia survivor has been told that go live, this is all you can do, why would they consider doing therapy again? Then there is the lack of tangible improvements in daily communication. This is tied to that first reason I explained. If you can't see how your time and effort is actually helping you to connect with and talk with the people that are most important in your life, there you get frustration and you feel skeptical that you can make any progress. What we do know from the research and from my 10 years of working in the area of chronic aphasia via telepractice, progress is possible, even years after a stroke, but it requires the right approach, one that focuses not on isolated skills, but on applying those skills in ways that matter to the individual with aphasia and to their family. Another story that comes to mind is from a consultation I had a few weeks ago. The wife reached out to me on the recommendation of her husband's physical medicine doctor. The doctor believed her husband had a lot of potential, and there was a wait list at the outpatient center at that local hospital. Plus, for them to travel there, it was going to be more than an hour each direction. So, when she filled out my intake paperwork, she mentioned that her husband was 4 months after his stroke, that he was severely depressed, and just every time she would talk to him, he would cry. She just didn't know what to do to help him. They had tried a little bit of speech therapy at home, but he just didn't respond to his wife being the therapist. So let's talk about some key points before I go on with this story. Depression and emotional distress can impact a person's willingness to engage in therapy. The clinician's role is to instill hope and show that progress is possible. And I am doing my darndest as a speech pathologist in this space of chronic aphasia to educate other speech pathologists that the brain is an amazing, resilient organ that, with intention and a plan and consistent practice, that new connections can be made and that progress is possible. And personally, I subscribe to taking a strength based practical approach to therapy that is focused on real life goals. Because when you focus on what's important to the person with aphasia, they are engaged. It overcomes that resistance. They feel seen, heard, and understood. And so they are much more likely, once you've built rapport with them, to engage in treatment, to try new things, to have faith in the process. So, back to this story with the wife who said her husband, just didn't have faith that he could do more with therapy and that she wasn't a good fit for him to be doing the speech therapy work at home. So I went into this consultation with my mindset clear that I wasn't there to convince him to work with me. However, my goal was to show him that there is hope, that there is a way forward, and that we can make progress when we tap into what's important to him, what his goals are, when we take into account who he is as a person, what he did for a living, what his hobbies are, and the people and family that are most important in his life. So, approaching it from a strength perspective, I could directly convey to him and his wife how therapy would impact his ability to communicate and engage in the activities he enjoys. He plays an instrument and was in a band for fun and had been doing this instrument for 50 years. Yeah, he said he started at 6 years old. So I have to, as his potential future clinician, I have to take that musical interest, that ability, that drive to practice. Because to be able to play in a band, even if it's not professional, that takes hours and hours of practice. And I can tap into that mindset and apply it to speech therapy, right? So both he and his wife were able to see that when we take this whole person approach or a holistic approach where we focus on real life goals, they could see that this could make a difference. So, some key points to reinforce. Therapy should focus on improving the quality of life by addressing real life activities like using the smartphone, perhaps getting back to playing an instrument or doing something with music for whatever, he may have a physical limitation getting back to that musical instrument, but we can find a way. We can integrate in music therapy. We can make recommendations for that. But we need to give him some control back. This stroke blindsided him. Of course it did, right? The gentleman is only in his mid 50s. He had no medical conditions, before the stroke took out the right side of his body and gave him aphasia. So we have to look at who he is, what's important to him, and what are the first things that we need to focus on to get him back to, because it is about establishing those quick wins. The right clinician doesn't just work on isolated skills, although that is part of treatment. But we have to really be sure we tie these isolated skills, like being able to read at word level, phrase level, sentence level. We have to help them apply that in functional, practical ways that they see that it improves their life, gives them control, gives them choices and possibilities. Therapy isn't just about doing exercises or filling out worksheets. It's definitely not busy work. It's about quality of life. Are you getting the take home message in this episode? We have to, as clinicians, help individuals with aphasia get back to the things that matter the most: texting, FaceTiming, getting back to work, resuming household chores, right? Chores doesn't sound like fun, right? As kids, we try to get out of chores, and as adults, we know we have to do the chores and we get them done. But isn't that still part of life? And if we can't engage in those things that are familiar to us, it still impacts the identity. Getting back to hobbies like playing an instrument, these are all things that can be addressed and worked into speech therapy, whether we're having to work on the impairment level or something bigger. It's not about checking boxes, passing tests. It's about tangible improvements. We can help them believe that there is hope and show them the steps forward to give them their lost faith back. That speech pathology treatment, when applied holistically, it can help. It can give them their faith. It can give them their hope. So I want to bring your attention to a new tool that I've created. It's called the Communication Strengths Wheel. And this is a tool that is free to you. You can download it from the homepage of my website at dolifespeechpathology.com. But I believe so much in this tool in that I am incorporating it into my intake process. So let's say a family finds my website through a search on Google. If they decide to book a consultation with me to talk about what their loved one or their strengths are as far as language and communication, this communication strengths wheel is part of that intake process. It's a way to get the person thinking about what's working, what's not working. It gives them a starting point to also pin down what is most important. So the communication strengths wheel is my gift to you. If you're curious about it, please go to dolifespeechpathology.com and download it for yourself today. And if you are ready to jump in and have a consultation, this is a no obligation consultation. You don't have to work with me or with my company. But if you would like another perspective, if you would like hope and a way forward, please schedule a free consultation. You can do that from the home page of the website. So before I leave you today, there is a way forward to improve your connection and communication by working with a clinician that focuses on what truly matters to the individual. Progress is about getting back to life, whatever that looks like for each person. There is a way forward. There is hope. With the right support, progress can be made. I encourage you to visit the website, read about what we do at dolifespeechpathology.com. And when you're ready to take the next step, we're ready to take it with you. As always, thank you, my audience, for listening. I hope you've gotten value out of this episode. Please be sure to check out our podcast website, listenforlifeaphasiapodcast.com. On that website, you'll see all of our episodes, many of them from episode 33 forward. I think we're somewhere in the low 100 episodes. You can watch, listen, get a transcript, and see the key takeaways from each episode. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being a part of this community. Until next time, have a fabulous week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Listen for Life podcast. We hope you feel empowered and supported. Head over to listenforlifepodcast.com to see the show notes with links and information from today's episode. Do you have a topic, a resource to share, or a guest recommendation? Inquiring minds want to know. Let us know in the comments section. Wishing you a fabulous week.